physiological arousal. With more oxygen in your brain, the
Imagine yourself at a car dealership, and you've got your eyes set on two shiny new cars. One of these cars is priced at $30,000, and the other one priced at $40,000. You like the $30,000 car, but you were
Ever watch a video, a streaming series, or an ad featuring groups of friends, and for the briefest of moments wonder, why can't I have that? We do that too. That's legit natural. Humans are generally social creatures, striving and thriving to get our group on. Oh, but how do we get there? Because you know you want meaningful friendships, not just a group for show. Ironically, that also means there's a lot on the line here. So you're nervous. Let's help you out with some tips. Even better, for this video, we have Avery and Terry to help provide examples where needed. Wave hello you two. Let's get started. Number 1, highlight similarities. As much as we know you're your own strong individual person, you will tend to get along better with someone who has at least some of the same interests. Sure, it was easier in school because everyone was stuck going to the same place, the same room every day for hours on end. So you were bound to talk to someone simply due to that frequency. That environment can be recreated now. By you, just participate or join in a group. Think of stuff you generally like. Is it cars? Maybe modding keyboards? Maybe I like pottery. I just joined a pottery class. Hey, me too. I saw you there. Seriously? You make the best things. I didn't think you'd be in a class. Well, thanks, you two. And it looks like they're off talking about pottery. I see beautiful friendship in the making. A group could be physical, or even an online discussion thread. When you have something to talk about, that first big step has been taken. Number 2, start simple and open. Let's say you've initiated conversation, but then it suddenly gets awkwardly quiet. Does this sound unfortunately familiar? Not to worry. Many of us tend to get ahead of ourselves and we end up asking too much too soon. We also tend to ask questions that can be answered yes or no. So start simple and ask questions that start with things like how or what. Terry, Avery, care to show what we're talking about? Sure, right. Hey Avery, I saw you walking a dog the other day. Is that yours? No. Okay guys, that's an example of closed questioning. Let's show them open. Right. Hey Avery, I saw you walking a dog the other day. How'd you get a dog? Oh, a big golden colored dog? Yeah, no, that's not mine. It's my neighbor's. I walk their dog on occasion. I mean, I love dogs, but, you know, expensive. Oh, I get that. That dog looks so happy and friendly. Reminds me of the time I had a job at a pet shop. See? Open. This will give you more information, and you can then ask questions based on the answer that they gave you. This shows and confirms that you're listening to them and care about what they say. After all that, you share something related about yourself. Think of it as a trust move. They've trusted you with some info, and you're now trusting them. And all good relationships are based on trust. Number 3, joke around. Good, non-aggressive humor is a great way to bond with others. It helps to break the ice and ease awkward silence moments. It lightens the atmosphere, which makes others comfortable. Having a good sense of humor associates you with good times and confidence. So people may choose to speak and open up to you because they know it's not going to be swamped by a downer or a lecture. Number 4, share a meal. Don't try to start a friendship when you're hangry. Food is good for the soul, and it's good for making friends. You're in a place of comfort and good cheer when eating a meal. Sharing that space with someone means you now have more than one person in that same happy space, and conversation will naturally flow. Number 5, compliment them. Don't go overboard though, because then it might feel creepy or fake. Just be genuine and let someone know when they've got something good going on. It can be something simple like hair color, or a compliment on a skill they've likely been working on. Avery, Terry, you're up. Hi, I just wanted to let you know I think your Mandalorian armor is amazing. Thanks, I made it. You made that? You have got to be crazy talented. Now the person associates you with feeling good, and the compliment has also acted like an invite to talk to you. Other people get nervous too, and a compliment is a great way to allay fears that they'll be snubbed. Number 6, seek help. No. Don't do this through gathering minions or acting incompetent. In this kind of help, we mean being open to asking for someone for assistance or advice in something you're truly and genuinely interested in. So it's not like you're making them your lackey. You're complimenting them by acknowledging their expertise in an area. If you're inquiring because you're curious, you're acknowledging that what they're good at is a desirable thing. Generally, it allows them to perform small acts of kindness, which can lead to increased closeness and a connection. They feel valued and helpful, and people like to know that they matter. The key to this though is that the interest must be genuine, because pretend or polite curiosity feels fake and makes it seem like you're either being condescending or have an unsavory ulterior motive. Number 7. Your friends have friends too. This is where you're using the fact that the odds are in your favor. See if you can be friends with your friends' friends. Chances seem good. After all, you have lots of common interests with your current friend. Chances can be good that their friend has some overlapping interests too. Plus, you trust your friend, and thus there's a better chance that their friend is safe. By being your friend's friend, they've been vetted. There's a far lower chance of unpleasant surprises, and you already have something in common, the mutual friend. Number 8, spend time. Like anything new, a bond needs to be nurtured. So, when you click with someone, that's the critical time to cement the bond. Of course, your older friendships do need care too, but the bond there is already pretty solid and can survive longer periods of downtime and a new friendship. Pick an activity that allows you to actually get to know each other. Interact over social media, play games, or do that similar interest you have. Hey, that reminds me, Terry, I got some new clay, an extra potter's wheel, and some new designs. Wanna do some pot sculpting?
Sounds great. I have so much to tell you from the last couple of weeks.
See, these two can catch each other up and continue to feel relevant and needed in each other's lives. Number 9, dealing with doubts and fear. We all have these same doubts and fears. Mostly, it's about things we have very little control over. Like, what would that person think? What if it doesn't work out? Part of dealing with the doubts and fears is to realize that because we are all such varied individuals, no one can be good friends with everyone. Meaning, if your best efforts aren't reciprocated, that's not a failing on your part. Focus on why you're trying to be friends with the person, rather than worrying about their reaction, which you can't control. Approach them because you're genuinely interested, not faking concern. You're focusing on them, taking the spotlight off of you, and that can also help you feel less on the spot. Well, I was in this group and this one person was talking. They seemed to like all the same movies I liked. They'd even read the series of books I thought no one else had read. But when I tried to talk to them, they just insulted my opinions and kept shutting me down. Well then, it sounds like you approached them with an open mind and friendliness. Their face slammed to go on your face, that says more about them than you. That's right, Terry. That person's reaction was stating they would not be a good friend to you, Avery. You were genuine and frank. Making friends can be hard because we tend to focus on what they want, and it can be easy to forget that what you really want is someone who gets along with you, not you bending over backwards to change who you are for them. Friends will, of course, have an effect on each other, but in the end, if you have to do a 180 to be someone's friend, are they really friends with you or just with the act? You are worthy of friendship, so go out there and get them. What have your experiences been in making friends? How did your best friendship start? Please share, comment, and discuss below. You can always make a new friend in us by hitting that like button. See you soon.
There is a love story in every human being that has ever lived. Some are happy,
Some are tragic, but every single person has their encounter with love. For some, despite all their efforts, love is elusive. Sometimes the problem is being unable to find the right person. To a certain degree, it is pure chance that we come across the person whom we may refer to as our soulmate. That should not discourage you, because there are secrets backed up by psychology to find the right person for you. Number 1, manage your expectations. We've all heard the saying, the heart wants what it wants, and this may be true, but when it comes to finding the person for you, it's important to be realistic. If you've been infatuated with one person for a long time and have faced repeated rejections from them, you have to accept that it isn't gonna happen. The best thing to do when looking for love is always to work on yourself first. Princess Braxton Davis explains in the McNair Scholars Journal, 2010, in order to form a relationship, there must be some type of attraction, either physically or on a personality level. Initial attraction to a potential mate is highly associated with physical attractiveness. Understand that everyone has different preferences and expectations. You can't expect to receive things that you would be incapable of offering to the relationship. While having differences is certainly important and keeps things interesting, you can't expect someone who, for example, has honed in their sense of style to be immediately attracted to someone with no interest in looking presentable. The same applies to people who pay keen attention to physical health. Falling in love with someone who pays no attention to their physical health, or someone who works a high-paying job falling in love with someone who has no job. That being said, this mostly applies to the initial attraction mentioned by Princess Braxton Davis, which is largely dependent on physical attractiveness. However, when finding the right person for you, there's more to it than physical attractiveness. Number 2, you should share more than surface level interests with them. While the idea of being in a relationship with someone who loves the same music and movies as you sounds ideal, research shows that it's far more important for you and your partner to share the same core values. This can mean that you share a religion, have the same or similar political alignment, and share similar views on most of your core beliefs, as found by Travis G. Perry, where he writes in his 2016 thesis, research on shared beliefs, particularly shared religious beliefs, has shown them to be a positive predictor of marital satisfaction. Disagreements are to be expected, but all of these things should inform you as to whether or not someone is actually the right one for you, as Perry elaborates. Further, couples that agree with each other on their most important values argue less and find their marriage to be more enjoyable. If these shared beliefs aren't built into the foundation of your relationship, or in other words, are not present in the person you are interested in, it is unlikely that it'll work out long term. Number 3, there is a strong social connection. When we were young, we were taught not to talk to strangers. So why should we think that approaching someone with whom we have little to no social connection and proposing a romantic relationship is a good idea? Sure, there's always the possibility of getting someone's number or Instagram handle, but the chances are not in your favor. Even if you approach perfectly and respectfully, there's still a very good chance that they'll say no. Furthermore, if you've gotten past the point of initial attraction, the question still remains, is this the right person for me? And so begins the laborious and often heartbreaking task of finding out more about this person only to decide that you're nothing alike. The cycle of going from strangers to being romantically involved is quickened with modern tools such as dating apps. Oftentimes, these apps depend largely on an initial physical attraction and therefore do not allow the process of getting to understand someone's sense of humor, likes, dislikes, and beliefs to unfold in an organic way. The truth is that the right person for you is far more likely to exist in your social circles. A 2019 study by Muli Yang and Wenbin Zhao, published in Cyber-Psychology Behavior and Social Networking, found that having a large number of choices for potential romantic partners, as one would find on dating apps, had a negative impact on decision-making. If there isn't anyone in your social network who you feel is right for you, try to expand your social circles. Do it with the intention of simply making friends and getting to know new people first and foremost. Put the relationship struggles aside and truly get to know the people around you and your new friends before making romantic advances. And this is the best way to know whether or not someone is right for you before making any grand commitments. Number 4, don't change who you are just to suit someone you like. It's been understood that being authentic to yourself greatly benefits your romantic relationships. Not only does it affect the relationship itself by improving satisfaction and commitment, but it also helps you find the right person for you. According to Robert E. Wickman in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology, authenticity appears to signal trustworthiness and stability, which are great character traits to display when seeking a partner. Being open about who you are and what you believe in will attract someone who has similar values. It's impossible to find the right person for you when you aren't being yourself. Not only does it affect the process of finding the right person for you, but if you're successful in finding a relationship by changing who you are to suit someone, it's unlikely that the relationship will last. The pressure of not being able to share true thoughts and passions with your partner will lead to resentment and will poison the relationship over time. And number 5, take it easy. You might be at a stage in your life where love has eluded you to the point that the concept of love sounds like a myth. Do not let this discourage you. Love can be magical, but it can also bring a lot of pain, as anyone who has ever had an encounter with love, you included, will know. When it comes to finding the right person for you, a desperate search might limit you to a selection of partners that may not be ideal. Take your time and be patient. At a certain point, you have to wonder if a perfect person like we see in rom-coms and TV shows like How I Met Your Mother is realistic. Is there someone who will fulfill all of your criteria for what a perfect partner should be? And if that person does exist, would they reciprocate those feelings? As you get older, these questions become scarier, but I say again, take it easy. You may be surprised by what you think of as perfect when you find it. The only predictable thing about love, real love, is that it's unpredictable. It can come to you slowly over years and years of knowing someone, or it can come to you suddenly and unexpectedly. Love is terrifying. That is true. But the journey of finding the right person for you is exciting. The only thing more exciting is the journey that begins once you've found them. There is no formula to love. There's no single magical way to draw in the one person who will be right for you. But these 5 secrets will help you find some direction in your search for the right person. Remember to keep your expectations in check. Look for people who share similar values and interests. Try to find someone within your social network rather than a stranger. Always be authentic to yourself. And take it easy, because things can't be forced. Good luck.
Hey Psych2Goers, welcome back to our channel. Your support helps us in our goal to spread awareness about mental health and psychology. So thank you for your support. Now to the video. Sometimes making friends can be hard. Have you been through this scenario? You start your first class. It's your first day back to school. A new semester, a new schedule, new people. Anything could happen. The student you end up sitting next to could be your next best friend. The possibilities are endless for friendship. That's what you think your first day. The next day, the hope is still there. It lasts the week, maybe the month. But then you soon find your hope dwindling down as you haven't seemed to make an impression on anyone. And you start to wonder, do people like me? Don't worry. Odds are, others just haven't gotten to know more about you and what makes you great, because we all have something that makes us great to someone out there. You may just need to develop some likable behaviors and habits that get others to notice you enough to want to find out what those great qualities are. So, to help you become an even greater person, here are some subtle behaviors that can make others like you. Hey, you may even find yourself liking you a bit more too. Number 1, call them by their name. No, not call me by your name. Call them by their name, although that is a great film. Have you ever perked up at the call of your name? Perhaps Someone across the room mentioned you at a party, and instead of saying, "Hey, you," they said, well, your name. We love our names so much that we can even pinpoint our own names being spoken by someone in a loud crowd or party. This form of selective attention is related to the cocktail party effect. While in a crowd or loud room, we can hone in on a specific conversation of our choosing. More importantly, if our name is spoken nearby, even when we're focused on another conversation, we immediately perk up and recognize that someone is talking about us. Think about it. It not only makes you focus more when someone says your name, but it makes you feel better knowing they actually bothered to remember it. Try taking a mental note of each individual's name when you meet them, and think of a related image to help you remember them. Number 2, give genuine compliments when they cross your mind. Everyone loves compliments, and we can usually tell when they're genuine. Next time you meet someone and notice something you like about them, don't hesitate to tell them. It's best to let others know the great things about them. Wouldn't you want to know if someone is thinking highly of you? When we speak of others in a positive light, people will associate the traits we use to describe that person with ourselves. This happens when we talk about someone to someone else. This is called spontaneous trait transference, and it occurs when communicators are perceived as possessing the very traits they describe in others. According to several studies published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, researchers found that when we describe someone with a certain trait to another person, that person will associate us with the traits described. So, it doesn't hurt to give someone you just met a compliment, like your lab partner, Deb, who always aces the quizzes, or the student sitting next to you with a great sense of fashion. What was her name again? You better remember. Susie. Go ahead and tell them their outfit looks great. And even tell your lab partner, Derek, that Susie does indeed have great taste. He may even associate that compliment to how great you are in the process. I'm sure they would love to hear nice things said about them. Wouldn't you? Number 3, spend more time with them. Want a secret to getting someone to like you? Try spending some time with them. This doesn't necessarily mean you have to ask them out right away if it doesn't feel quite right or natural, but it can mean sitting with them at lunch, or perhaps you want a coworker to like you. Get to know them by having a quick coffee chat with them. It never hurts to try. It's best to make socializing with others a habit if you want to make friends. According to the psychological study by R.B. Zajonc, the mere exposure effect is a psychological phenomenon in which people find themselves preferring someone or something simply because they developed familiarity with them. When a person is repeatedly exposed to a certain stimulus, that person develops familiarity with the stimuli and therefore prefers its presence. This is why certain products and ads are constantly being repeated during your favorite program's commercial breaks. The more familiar you are with something, the more you'll start to notice it. And if they turn you down when you ask them out, it's definitely their loss anyways. Number 4, you don't need to be perfect. There's no such thing. You may think that you have to appear perfect to attract others your way. How could your friend possibly like you if you don't ace every single test? How could they admire you if you don't look extremely fashionable every day? Props to Susie, though. How could anyone ever get to know you if you don't have the perfect vocabulary? Well, hate to break it to you. Well, actually, I want to break it to you. But people don't actually care that much. While you might think otherwise, often people find this so-called perfection intimidating, distant, or unattainable. Yeah, I know, not even perfect is good enough. In fact, people may find others who aren't superbly perfect and who even possess the rarity of these so-called flaws as more attractive. In a study, researcher Elliot Aronson had people rate fake test takers based on their attractiveness. Test takers would either do great on a test, mediocre, or poor. The imperfection? Some test takers would act clumsy and spill coffee at the end of the interview. After, their scores were revealed. People rated the test takers who spilled coffee at the end of their interview the highest on the attractiveness scale, meaning people want to see that you're intelligent and capable, but that you aren't perfect. As the research paper states, a superior person may be viewed as superhuman and therefore distant. A blunder tends to humanize them and consequently increase their attractiveness. Poor test takers, mediocre test takers, and even great test takers were still rated lower than the superior test taker who scored great and spilled coffee at the end. Others may be intimidated if you come across as perfect and make no mistakes. They want to see that you're human. But when you show you're capable and yet still relatable as a human being who makes mistakes, people tend to like you more. Number 5, look to the positives first. You know that one person in a group who always has the nicest and most positive things to say? Do you ever feel an aura of happiness in place when around them? They never seem to complain, and when they do, it's only because of a particularly important reason. Like, there was a hair in my taco salad order. Something like that. They seem to emit this bright, positive energy that makes others gravitate towards them. Why can't you do the same? A research paper from the University of Hawaii and Ohio State University suggests that many individuals can unconsciously tell what mood you're in just by being around you. Seems fair, right? So if you display positive emotions, others are likely to mimic your happy facial expressions and gestures. Therefore, they're likely to feel positive emotions around you and want to be with you more. Meaning, if you go ahead and try to look to what makes you happy first, others will like your company and ultimately you. All you have to do is make it a habit to look to the positive of a situation before the negative. Because others love to be near someone who is happy. And if you can find the light in any dark situation, isn't that something to be happy about? Number 6, you actively listen and let others talk about themselves too. When we try to jump into a conversation and interrupt someone with our own thoughts on the subject prematurely, it can backfire. As much as we humans love to talk about ourselves, it's important to realize others want to talk about themselves too, which means if you let them, they may just like you a bit more. Harvard researchers discovered that taking the time to talk about yourself can have its rewards. In one of the 5 studies, subjects sat in an fMRI machine and had to respond to questions about either their own opinions on a subject or another's. Regions of the brain associated with reward and motivation were most active while talking about their own thoughts on a subject, as opposed to others. In fact, the need to talk about ourselves is so strong that in another study conducted by Harvard researchers, some subjects even declined money to talk about themselves more. As the research article states, self-disclosure was strongly associated with increased activation in brain regions that form the mesolimbic dopamine system, including the nucleus accumbens and ventral tegmental area. Moreover, individuals were willing to forego money to disclose about the self. So, go ahead and let your company talk about themselves for a while. They'll enjoy their time around you more and increase dopamine, as long as you make sure to listen and not doze off. It's a habit worth practicing. Next time you know you've been talking a little too much, try to remind yourself that the other person is dying to express their opinions as much as you are, and they may have something interesting to say. So, what do you think? Are you ready to start practicing these behaviors in hopes they become a natural habit? Maybe you already possess some of these habits yourself. Try them out and see if you make any new friends. And be sure to let us know in the comments what happened. And if you did make any friends using these habits, you're not alone. Susie and Derek have been practicing too. And now, they're the best of friends. They're just so positive, fashionable, and intelligent. And clumsy with the coffee too. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to press the like button and share this video with someone who might need a friend. Hey, reach out to them with this video, and you might develop a friendship that will last the tests of time. Subscribe to Psych2Go and hit the notification bell icon for more content like this. As always, thanks for watching.
Welcome Psych2Go fans! We here at Psych2Go are all about sharing knowledge, so we just want you to know that the purpose of this video is not to condemn narcissists, but to help those who feel they may be victims of narcissism, so they have the tools to help them recognize the signs. This in turn may provide some protection and self-preservation. Signature traits of a narcissist are combinations of various things, including being self-absorbed, deceitful, and using their sense of empathy as a weapon against others. Despite all these unpleasant qualities, the most dangerous characteristic about a narcissist is their initial magnetism. Early impressions and interactions have them presenting as charming, eloquent, intelligent, and charismatic. Unfortunately, these behaviors are simply bait, and the good treatment towards you doesn't last. The eventual outcome is you suffering through emotional trauma and being a pawn in their game. This doesn't sound very good, does it? Well, let us offer a little knowledge to arm yourself with. Here are 7 of the most common manipulation tactics narcissists use that you need to watch out for. 1. Gaslighting. Many victims of abusive relationships will be familiar with this one. Gaslighting and narcissists also quite often go together. So, what is gaslighting? Well, it's a method of manipulation to make the victim question their own reality. You'll know you locked the door, but the narcissist unlocked it without you knowing, then berates you later for being irresponsible or stupid. You're so lucky that you have them to depend on. You'll argue you know you locked it. They'll keep insisting you didn't. The narcissist will lie and misinform so earnestly and consistently that you start to question your memory and judgment of past events, no longer trusting your own mind. Oftentimes, they will attempt to change the narrative so they look good and you look bad. They may do this by completely fabricating a story or claiming you said something you didn't. 2. Projection. Projection is a manipulation tactic the narcissist will use to take things out on you. They're trying to relieve themselves of their negative load by dumping it on someone else and using them as a psychological punching bag. Usually, this is accomplished by convincing you that you have the problematic behaviors, not them. They might call you names, scold you for your actions, or get angry at you for doing things they themselves do. I know, right? Double standards. 3. Guilt tripping. When a narcissist wants something from you, they might try to guilt trip you into getting it. They make you feel sorry for them, coercing you into doing favors for them and staying by their side. They passive-aggressively remind you of all the bad things they perceive you've done to them. This is to imply that you owe them, or they use it as a reason to bear a grudge, creating a desire in you to make it up to them. 4. Silent treatment. We may not be proud of it, but we know we've given the cold shoulder to someone at some time in our lives to express our hurt, anger, or disappointment with them. A narcissist will do the same behavior, but with very different reasons. Their reason for the silent treatment is to tear down their victim's self-esteem. If your self-esteem is weak, you need support. You need them. You likely haven't done anything wrong, yet they'll ghost you until you're begging them to take you back, apologizing to them for anything and everything. 5. Feigned ignorance. It seems like you can't trust narcissists with anything. Well, there is something you unfortunately can trust a narcissist for. It's that they will always have an excuse ready as to why they aren't responsible for whatever they did wrong. They'll often play dumb and pretend to be innocent so they can get away with their bad behavior. They will manipulate you into thinking that they didn't mean it or didn't know any better, and once you forgive them and you've convinced yourself that they're a good person who simply made a mistake, they just stab you in the back and repeat the process. 6. Playing the victim. Remember how we said a narcissist will always use empathy as a weapon? This is how they do it. Generally, we know and feel that the right thing to do for a fellow human showing distress is to extend compassion and understanding. Unfortunately, if this is given to a narcissist, it's a flashing neon sign to let them exploit you. Did they make a mistake or a big mess of things? Maybe they did something wrong or hurtful. Well, they tell you, it's not me that was in the wrong, it was someone else. This is usually the victim, by the way. The entire world and cosmos has treated me unfairly, they'll say. It's in this way they keep fishing for and siphoning compassion and pandering from you, the caring human being. 7. Throwing tantrums. As you might suspect, narcissists don't respond well when you stand your ground and stop caving to their demands. The response? Tantrums have entered the chat. They will often get upset, raise their voice at you, call you names, and say many hurtful things just so they can browbeat you into submission. They can't be reasoned with or talked down because they're always absolutely certain that they're right, and anyone who disagrees with them must be terribly mistaken and therefore the enemy. Do you recognize these signs in anyone you know? Is there a narcissist in your life right now? If so, it can be helpful to be aware of these tactics so you can better prepare to protect yourself against them and possibly save yourself from being the victim of a narcissist's abuse. Learning all the tricks they use greatly reduces the narcissist's power, and they will likely leave you in peace. You're not useful to them if they can't manipulate you. So, be good to yourself and save yourself from the emotional pain and trauma. The narcissist mind games are now closed, and you're not forced to participate. As with any diagnosis, though, a specialized professional needs to make the call. Simply having a few somewhat similar traits doesn't necessarily mean one is a narcissist. We hope you learned something new. Please like, share, and subscribe below so we can keep giving you new material. Thanks for watching!
Hey Psych2Go family, welcome back. If you're new to this channel and by the end of the video you enjoy our content, do consider subscribing and joining the Psych2Go fam. Now, let's begin. Narcissistic victim syndrome is a term that collectively describes specific and often severe side effects of narcissistic abuse. Many experts acknowledge narcissistic abuse can have a serious, long-lasting impact on emotional health, although it is not recognized as a mental health condition. As a result of chronic abuse, victims may struggle with symptoms of PTSD or complex PTSD if they had additional trauma, such as being abused by narcissistic parents. With that in mind, here are 10 signs that might suggest you have narcissistic victim syndrome. Number 1, you felt like you had a perfect relationship with that person in the beginning. When you're in a romantic relationship, this type of abuse usually begins slowly, and it creeps up on you after you've fallen hard and are in love with your partner. In the early stages of the relationship, this is when the love bombing usually occurs. They may shower you with gifts and affections, and it can feel very intense. Then, slowly, manipulative tactics start to invade the relationship and will replace the love bombing. In the case of narcissistic parents, they might also offer love, adoration, praise, and financial support until you do something to displease them and lose their favor. They use tactics such as gaslighting and silent treatment, which can leave you questioning your own sanity. And this is something that sticks with you, even after you've cut ties with that person. Number 2, you feel like you're walking on eggshells. A common symptom of trauma is avoiding anything that might make you relive that particular trauma, whether it be people, places, or activities that pose a threat to you. You may feel like you're constantly worrying and being careful about what you say or do around people because that is how you used to behave when you were around your abuser. You may present as anxious and introverted, especially when in the presence of other people, though you're simply acting out of extreme fear. Number 3, you may have experienced smear campaigns once the relationship ended. When breakups happen, it's common for people to take sides. This is no different when it comes to a narcissistic abuser. They will twist your words and tell their version of the story to others to try and get them to feel sorry for them. They can often drum up support from your loved ones by insisting that they only have the best interests at heart. Then, when you try to talk about the abuse that happened, your loved ones might side with the abuser over you. This can draw up barriers between you and the people in your support network and leave you feeling isolated. Number 4, you feel isolated and vulnerable. When no one will listen to you or your concerns, this can leave you feeling very much alone. When you feel alone, you're vulnerable to further manipulation from your abuser. They may pull you back in with fake apologies, a hand of kindness, or by brushing their past abuse under the rug. This tactic, which is called hovering, is the perfect time to pounce when you're lacking in support, since you are more likely to doubt your perceptions of the abuse when you can't talk to anyone about it. Number 5, you've developed a pervasive sense of mistrust. Are you hypervigilant? Do you worry and get anxious over other people's intentions? The gaslighting techniques used by the narcissistic abuser may have contributed to how you view the world, and you may find that you have a hard time trusting anyone, including yourself. Number 6, you may engage in self-sabotaging and self-destructive behavior. Victims often find themselves ruminating over the abuse. This can enhance the frequency of negative self-talk and the tendency towards self-sabotage. Malignant narcissists will try and program you, conditioning you for self-destruction. This could potentially lead you to engaging in risky behaviors, such as self-harm or even suicidal ideation. You might have developed a knack for punishing yourself because of the toxic shame you carry, put there by the hypercriticism and verbal abuse of your abuser. If you feel like you're lacking in any motivation to pursue your dreams and goals, then this could be a result of narcissistic abuse. Number 7, you may experience unexplained physical symptoms. Narcissistic abuse can trigger anxious and nervous feelings that can trigger physical symptoms. The stress of chronic abuse may send your stress levels into overdrive, and as a result, your immune system may take a severe hit, leaving you vulnerable to physical ailments and disease. You may notice symptoms such as appetite changes, nausea, stomach pain, muscle aches and pains, insomnia, and fatigue. Number 8, you may have issues setting boundaries. The experience of narcissistic abuse can often leave you with little respect for boundaries. This may be because when you tried to set boundaries in the past, you may have been met with challenges from the abuser, who gave you the silent treatment until you did what they wanted. Once you end the relationship or gain distance from a narcissistic parent, you promise yourself that you won't answer their calls or physically see them at all. However, even if you've tried to cut ties, your abuser is confident that they will eventually wear you down because you've set aside your boundaries with them so many times before. If you've experienced narcissistic abuse, you might also have trouble setting healthy boundaries in your relationships with others in the future. 9, you may be questioning your own identity. When facing abuse, many people adjust their self-identity to accommodate an abusive partner. You may have stopped doing things you enjoy or spending time with friends and family in order to better appease your abuser. These changes can often lead to a loss of identity during and after the abuse. It's not uncommon for victims of narcissistic abuse to experience dissociation and detachment from the physical world. Dr. Vanderklok writes in his book titled, "The Body Keeps the Score." Dissociation is the essence of trauma. The overwhelming experience is split off and fragmented so that the emotions, sounds, images, thoughts, and physical sensations take on a life of their own. Oof. Number 10, you may find it hard to make decisions. When there has been a negative pattern of devaluation and criticism in your life, you might have very little self-esteem and confidence in yourself. Narcissistic abusers can make statements that imply that you are unable to make good decisions. Abusive partners may have called you stupid or ignorant, or they might have insulted you with a false and affectionate tone. They can manipulate you into believing you imagine parts of reality, making it seem less important than it actually is. This type of cajoling and deceitfulness can affect the way you make future decisions. So, did you relate to any of these signs? Let us know in the comments below. I wanted to take a second to say that I'm sorry, hi, it's Amanda, the voiceover voice. I'm reading this script for the first time and I really related to it. So I wanted to add a point that in you taking the time to learn about narcissistic victim syndrome, you're empowering yourself. Once you know, you can grow. Acknowledging the effects of being in a narcissistic relationship is the first step to healing from one. As we close out, we wanted to say that not all abuse is linked to narcissism, and not all people with a diagnosis of narcissistic personality disorder will engage in abusive behavior. However, if you feel you might be a victim of this type of abuse, we encourage you to reach out for help. Talk to someone you can trust, like a good friend, a family member, or a therapist. It's not easy to leave an abusive relationship, but with the right support, you can move on with your life and start to heal from your past hurts. Like and share this video if it helped you and you think it could help someone else too. The studies and references used are listed in the description below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more Psych2Go videos, and thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Hey Psych2Goers. Before we begin, we would like to thank you all for the love and support that you've given us. Sharing and liking our videos helps us fulfill our mission to make psychology more accessible to everyone, and we're so grateful for that. Now, let's continue. What is the relationship between you and your mother like? Perhaps you've noticed that something is just not right in your relationship, but you have no idea why. And because of that, you've questioned yourself and wondered whether it was something you were doing. Or is it something she's doing? Sound familiar? Children of narcissistic parents go through their lives feeling confused and lost, and in search of the love they never received from home. They expect their mothers to nurture and support them, but when they're dealing with narcissistic mothers, they aren't given the love and support that healthy parents should provide. Narcissism is one of the buzzwords used a lot in mental health literature and social media. So how do we know our own mothers are narcissistic or simply just being mothers? In this video, we'll be discussing 10 signs you may have a narcissistic mother. As a disclaimer, this video is purely for educational purposes and is not designed to diagnose or suggest that your mother is a narcissist because you recognize some of the signs in this video. If you feel that your mother is displaying narcissistic traits and you feel that you can't talk to her about it, we suggest confiding in somebody you trust or speaking to a person in a professional capacity, such as a GP or a mental health professional. Let's begin. Number 1, she sees her children as her trophies or her pawns. Ever feel like your achievements are used by your mother to show off her status and her ability? A narcissistic mother sees her child as an extension of herself. The sad truth is, the only thing narcissistic mothers care about is how others see them through their children. So, when her child makes any mistake in public, she belittles them. A narcissistic mother will be full of praise when you make her look good, hypercritical and judgmental when you make her look bad. And the worst part? She knows where it hurts and will often not consider this before making comments at your expense. If you have siblings, she'll pit you against each other to gain more control. The golden child is the one she favors more, solely because of how good you make her look around others. If she sees you as the scapegoat, she'll put the blame on you for everything and even emotionally reject you because you make her look bad. Number 2, she likes to keep control. Does she get angry when you disagree or don't do what she wants you to do? Does she try to make you feel guilty for having separate interests, hobbies, desires, and opinions? Mothers who exhibit narcissistic traits like to have complete control over all aspects of their children's lives, from friends to music to clothes and habits. Number 3, she uses manipulation to get what she wants. Does trying to assert yourself result towards your mother in anger, rejection, and hostility? Manipulation is her game, and she will often play it well. She will use guilt trips through emotional blackmail to make you and any siblings you may have dance to her music. She doesn't appreciate your attempts to individuate, as it means you're going to be less available to serve her needs. Number 4, her love is conditional rather than unconditional. As mentioned earlier, the mother who is narcissistic is interested in how you and your achievements reflect on her. However, on the flip side, she may even become jealous. As a result, she may use love as a way to reward and to punish. Narcissistic mothers know that the most powerful weapon over their children is their love, which is one of the reasons why children of narcissistic mothers will often be perfectionistic in a misguided attempt to win their mother's love. Number 5, she often diverts the conversation to focus on herself. Have you ever found yourself trying to communicate an issue or a problem to your mother and feel like she's just not listening? Do you feel unvalued in your family dynamic? Narcissistic mothers will take control and change the direction of the conversation to focus on themselves. Number 6, she lacks empathy. Because they're so super focused on themselves, narcissistic mothers are unable to sympathize with their children. It's likely that she'll not validate your feelings, as there's very little room in her emotional consciousness for her to do so.
Narcissists are self-centered, and they feel the entire world should revolve around them. If they do something that upsets you, narcissists won't acknowledge their mistakes or soothe your upset because they believe they can do no wrong. Number 7, she's unpredictable. Never quite know where you stand with your mother? Narcissists often wax and wane in terms of their attention and availability. She may shower you with affection and attention when she wants something from you, and ignore you when she's doing okay. This is also known as love bombing. Number 8, she carries grudges. Does your mother hold a grudge based on something that happened days, months, or even years ago? With narcissistic mothers, these tend to last for a long time with no sign of it being forgiven or forgotten anytime soon. This is because narcissistic mothers are quick to develop a victim mentality. She's wired to manipulate others, which includes guilt-tripping you with your past mistakes to get what she wants. Number 9, she's emotionally volatile. Another key tick box when it comes to looking at narcissism is being volatile in nature. Mothers with these characteristics have very low self-esteem underneath their bluster and will become teary, desperate, and manipulative if they meet ongoing resistance. And number 10, she will never want to let you go. Has your mother ever said something like, "You can't leave me," or "You need me"? All parents know their kids will grow up and eventually leave the nest. However, narcissistic mothers may have a harder time letting go. Codependency in relationships is a trademark of people suffering from narcissistic personality disorder. So, a narcissistic mother may hold on to her child as long as possible, even into adulthood. She will use every tactic in the book to make them feel dependent on her. Did you relate to any of these signs? Let us know in the comments below. Remember that narcissistic traits can be symptoms of a personality disorder. However, that does not mean that everybody who exhibits these signs is a narcissist, or that they may have a personality disorder. If you feel like your mother may be a narcissist, please ensure you talk to somebody you trust, as this can be a difficult thing to deal with, not just for you, but for your mother and those around her as well. If you found this video helpful, please like and share it with someone who might benefit from it too. Don't forget to subscribe to Psych2Go and hit the notification bell icon for more content. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.
What greater love is there than a mother for their child? That feeling of safety, warmth, encouragement. Wait, are you wondering what we're talking about? Does it sound strange or unfamiliar to you? You're not imagining things. Despite the social and media insistence that parents always love their child and you owe your mother everything because no one loves you like her, parents can be toxic to their children. It's not okay, and no one should be expected to put up with the abuse. Although both parents can be toxic, mothers tend to use emotional manipulations so the child grows to believe the abuse is normal, deserved, or even required for them to grow up properly. Toxic mothers do it for control and to assuage their own shortcomings. Here at Psych2Go, we're going to uncover a few of those toxic bites and hopefully take away their teeth. Number 1, I carried you for 9 months. Toxic mothers phrase this as a "you owe me" statement. She's saying she suffered for you and gave you the great gift of life. So if you don't pay her back with total obedience, you're a bad child. And that's utter hogwash. This isn't like paying for lunch because they spotted you one a few weeks ago. This was a conscious choice that she made of her own free will. How could you possibly have had a say in your own conception? You did not choose to be born. It makes absolutely no sense that you would owe them regarding a decision they, the adult, made before you existed. If you gave someone a ticket to an event they never mentioned and never wanted to go to, would you automatically think they now owe you premium concert merch? You are an individual with your own mind and the free will that comes with it. You are responsible for what you choose to do, not what they chose. Number 2, you're too sensitive. Similarly, you might have heard, you can't take a joke, or you're such a crybaby, or even, you're so weak. Why does that even bother you? Sometimes people do get extra touchy, but it's not constant. If this berating is constant, this could mean she's being dismissive of the child's feelings and invalidating them. It's also a form of gaslighting. And the child is young. They've little to no frame of reference to step back and determine, is it really unreasonable to feel hurt by this? So when everything they feel is dismissed or reprimanded as too sensitive, they become conditioned to believe that their own wounds don't matter and that they're defective for being hurt by the abuse. This allows the toxic mother all the control. Number 3, my child is smart, but too lazy to try. We'll say this straight up. It is not normal nor healthy for mothers to insult their children. Maternal instincts should guide the mother to nurture the child's emotional health, not attempt its destruction. They might say you're feeding the child's determination to prove the parent wrong by doing well. Preposterous. It's not normal parenting to drive a child to succeed through vengeance or humiliation. The insult and belittlement isn't even a true assessment of the child. It's from the mother's projection of her own perceived failures and her perception of the child, not as an individual, but a subservient extension of herself. If she did not achieve life satisfaction, it's abhorrent to her that the child might succeed at or even surpass her. Should the child show talent at something, it's crushed, being called stupid, nonsense, maybe wasteful. Should the child speak up, then they're derided as prideful and shot down. This way, she will always be better and always be superior. Number 4, you're my child and I have the right to... Since the child is dependent, the mother, of course, must take some control and guidance in order to teach and raise the child. What's toxic is when there is absolutely no lesson or life skill associated with the breach of trust or the demand. An involuntary room search and clean for reasons of health and safety is justifiable. When it's treated like a random prison cell, tossing to find reasons to criticize or extort the child, that's toxic. Implicit dominance is often wielded as justification. I, as a mother, overrule everything you say, and it's my house, so your room is actually mine. It's a way to humiliate the child and take away their individual rights as a person. Again, this is to keep the child in their control like a puppet rather than a human. Number 6, why aren't you as good as this other child? Comparison can be a good thing and can so easily become a toxic thing. Toxic mothers use comparisons to break the child down, ensuring their subservience. The constant comparison is cramming the child into a box of unworthiness, a complete belief that they are not good enough as their own person. The instability the child feels has them desperately seeking an anchor, which the tox mom ensures she's right there to be. The child latches on, depending on her completely, and once again, she has total control. This control makes her feel superior, choosing to cope with her own insecurities by stepping on the child. Number 7, you're going to be seen like that? This can certainly be said in different ways to help the child know if what they're wearing really is inappropriate or unsafe. Like wearing dirty jeans with a pajama top to an office job interview, or wearing flip-flops in the snow. But with toxic moms, it's not to help you. They undermine your self-confidence and enforce feelings of inadequacy and shame. Ever heard the phrase, a face only a mother could love? So what does the child think when even their mother dislikes their look? The child thinks they must be all wrong, a failure, and a hopeless case. And that is not true. Everyone has something they dislike. Even the most popular celebrities have their share of haters. People have different tastes, and different doesn't mean bad. Unless you are specifically trying to cultivate your appearance to a vision your mother has created. Hey, if your mom's a fashion designer and you're into her spring line, no judgment here. Take her comments with a grain of salt and do yourself up the way you like. And number 8, I don't know why I even started this. This is referring to the process of using shame as a tool to mold their child into a subservient. It's an oft-used tactic that flies under the radar due to popular parental usage. It's not the healthiest form of discipline, but it's toxically wrong if used when the child has done absolutely nothing to be ashamed about. Consistent, undeserved shaming convinces the child that they are bad and defective at their very core. This leads them to expect that no one will ever care about them, as they don't deserve it. However, the worst conclusion is that since toxic moms show some affection, their child clings to them, believing that the meager scraps of affection are treasured gifts. Looking at the future impact of these abusive phrases, this could lead to the child acting out, maybe becoming suicidal. Should the child, later in life, come to realize what the mother has been doing, this could also lead to a complete serving of the mother-child connection. None of these are happy results. All of them leave scars. Did you relate to these points? Let us know in the comments. If you believe you or someone else is in a toxic relation, just a reminder that there are mental health professionals available for advice and help. Let us know in the comments below what you think. And stay strong. Stay true to yourself.